Hello, I'm Sue Baker, and the goal of this short DVD presentation is to introduce to you the Kiwi Party. Now, the Kiwi Party is a new, value-based voice in New Zealand politics, and I've got former MP Larry Baldock, the leader of the party, here with me now. Larry, can you please tell me a bit about the Kiwi Party, and how does that differ from other parties that are out there?
Well, the Kiwi Party is formed by former MPs like myself and others that have been involved in the political process for many years, but we're all disappointed that the same old politics is not really addressing the awful social statistics in our country. When we formed the Kiwi Party, we wrote principles that the party would be based upon and that would guide us in the formation of our policies. Now, these principles are really the foundation of our New Zealand society and of what's made all the Western democracies really free, civilised and prosperous. Values based on the equality of all people, regardless of race or creed, the importance of justice for all, and the importance of family and marriage in our society. Simply stated, we want to engage in the political process and represent these values so that our country can be better in the future, so that our grandchildren can have a future and a hope and not see these statistics getting worse and worse every year.
I know lots of my friends are really concerned about what's happening within the society in New Zealand. What hope does the Kiwi Party offer?
Well, you know, it's the values that are the missing dimension in New Zealand politics. Some people want to say that the economy can fix everything. Well, I'm the first to admit that there's no real value in being poor. But we also know that more money is not going to solve all our problems or make us happy. We've got to rebuild our society upon the values that made it great in the first place. Over the past 40 years, and particularly the last 10 years, we've seen social engineering introduced into this country through Parliament that's changed our statistics in many, many negative ways. We've seen an increase in family violence, increase in fatherlessness, single-parent families, and of course drugs and alcohol abuse increasing, gambling addictions and so on, which has undermined the importance of family and our family structures in this country. Sadly, there doesn't seem to be any political party with the will in this country to reverse this social engineering. For example, I heard John Key say just the other day that he doesn't agree with the prostitution law reform that went through. He voted against it. And he actually said, "The reason I voted against the prostitution law was that I had to look New Zealand parents in the eye and say, what message am I trying to send? And I wasn't satisfied that the message that said it's okay for your kids to be involved in prostitution or for their children to be involved in prostitution was the right one, because I don't think it is." The question is, now that John Key is the Prime Minister, will he change it?
Well, I certainly agree with you about those distressing statistics, and like many other New Zealanders, I'm really concerned about the kind of society that my children are growing up in and being a part of. And you've laid out the problems really clearly, but what are the solutions?
Well, that's right. If we want a better future for our families and our grandchildren, which all of us do, Sue, then we've got to begin to provide the real solutions that get to the root of the problems, policies which build a fence at the top of the cliff and not just building more ambulances to be at the bottom. Families are everything. And that's not just a slogan. We've got to start having pre-marriage education before people get married. We've got to have pre-parenting education before they become parents. You know, the sex education program in this country is just simply not working. And I think we should throw it out and start parenting education with our young people. You know, I fought so hard against this crazy anti-smacking law because I believe deeply that it is going to do a lot of damage to our families in the future. And I believe that it's parents, not the state, that have the responsibility for raising their children, correcting them and making them good citizens for the future of the country. We must settle for nothing less than the values that have stood the test of time, although interpreted differently for young people so they can understand them. And on those values we can build a better future for everybody.
Welcome back. We are now joined by Gordon Copeland, former Member of Parliament and now President of the Kiwi Party, and Simone Dyer, who is the newly appointed Deputy Leader. Gordon, tell us what you think.
You know, Edmund Burke put it very well once. He said, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing. So I really want to appeal to people watching this DVD to get involved in the Kiwi Party, to become a member. Together we can really reshape the future of this nation, and it's important we do so for the sake of our children, and in my case also for my grandchildren. That's what really motivates me, and I welcome people regardless of their ethnic background, regardless of their faith, to think seriously about getting involved in this party. It's a great team. We have wonderful people on board, but becoming a member means that you are identified with this cause. You're part of this great values movement that we're building steadily right throughout the country. It means you get to elect the board members. It means that you will eventually be able to participate in selecting a Kiwi Party candidate in your electorate to contest the 2011 elections. So simply speaking, Sue, I urge people to sign up, get involved, bring your ideas, your passions, your hopes and aspirations for our country into the Kiwi Party, because there you can channel it, and by working together we can really make a great change. I believe that we will one day be in Parliament, and then we can achieve a lot of wonderful things to really take this nation forward.
Now, Simone, you are an inspirational lady. You have had lots of international experience as CEO of one of the largest hospital ships in the world and many other leadership roles. Some people would say, why aren't you enjoying your retirement and relaxing? What has made you get involved with the Kiwi Party and take up all these new responsibilities?
Well, Sue, New Zealand's been good to me, and I love this country. I was widowed when I had 4 young children under 10 years of age, and it was the New Zealand systems that carried me through and helped me during that time. Then I worked overseas for about 16 years in the developing world, worked among people who were really poor, tremendous poverty. Came back to New Zealand, but found here a really deep poverty, but a different type of poverty, a poverty of spirit, with the breakdown in families, the huge numbers that we've got in teenage suicides and abortions and all the things that we see in the breakdown of family life here in New Zealand. And that's the reason I got involved. I want to see things change. I want to see a better future for my children and my grandchildren.
Now, Larry, you organised the anti-smacking referendum and 87% of people said no. So what happens now?
Well, New Zealanders are really upset that the parliamentarians, the Prime Minister, have not listened to this very strong message. This law has got to change. Parents have to have their authority back, because the issue has shifted now from just the anti-smacking issue to one of democracy. Are we really in charge of our own country, or can the Prime Minister just rule like a dictator and say his opinion counts more than the 87.4% who said no to that referendum?
It seems to me that a great number of New Zealanders would agree with those policies. Is that what you've experienced as you've travelled around?
Well, as you know, Sue, my wife and I travel the country many, many times collecting those signatures for the referendum. And we met Kiwis from all walks of life, from all ethnic backgrounds. And as we talked about these policies, they agreed this is what will make our country a better place. We also met many Kiwis who have good ideas about what needs to change, but they're so frustrated because they know that Parliament just simply isn't listening. As we found out from the anti-smacking referendum, 87% said no, and still we can't seem to change that law. My passion, born out of my experience in Parliament, is to convince those Kiwis that if we really want to get anything done, they've got to become part of a wide values movement that sees the Kiwi Party as their political arm, representing them in Parliament to make sure that these values are adopted in the legislation that's needed to be passed to undo the damage that's been done in the past. Many lobby from outside Parliament, but often are just ignored. I hope people will see that the Kiwi Party can be their party in Parliament, and MMP gives us a perfect opportunity to do that.
I know that I've had my questions answered, and I urge you to join with us in the Kiwi Party in building a great nation on good values.